If you've been soaping for a few weeks, a few months, or even longer, you'll certainly have heard things like this. Essential oils never hold in cold processed soap. Or, I just throw a load of oils in and never measure it. And I thought I'd put together this little kind of beginner's guide to using, storing, blending, and most of all being responsible with essential oils. Essential oils are readily available and they can be delivered to your door these days. But as much as you would respect sodium hydroxide, you should also respect essential oils because they come with contraindications. What's a contraindication, you ask? Well, a contraindication is a medical warning usually found on medications that may react or cause other medication to work faster or not work at all. You may also get medicines that will contraindicate with medical conditions that could lead to complications and could damage the body or even worse. Did you know that anyone that suffers with epilepsy should avoid stimulating essential oils like sage, sweet fennel, hyssop, eucalyptus, and rosemary? Or that rosemary, peppermint, hyssop, thyme, eucalyptus, and sage should be avoided by people with high blood pressure. Lavender, clary sage, ylang ylang in high doses can affect people with low blood pressure. Now, notice that lavender is on that list. There are basically two oils that you can use undiluted on your skin. One is lavender, and one is tea tree. But even lavender, which is the mildest of all the essential oils you can basically get, still has a contraindication. So you might say, well, actually, all of those contraindications are associated with people that have conditions. And we'll just ask them to read the label and say to them, well, that's fine, but what condition do you think angelica root, bergamot, lemon, lime, ginger, mandarin, orange, and grapefruit essential oils have in common? Is there a condition they might affect? Actually, they affect or can affect the biggest organ of the body, and you should never really expose these oils neat to it. All of these oils are phototoxic, which means if they're applied to the skin, usually neat, which is the biggest organ of the body, they can cause the skin to burn and darken faster and lead to skin damage in everyone. That's why it's so important that you measure your essential oils correctly and you stick to the usage rates. They are potent and they can cause damage. Just treat all essential oils respectfully like you would sodium hydroxide. The biggest complaint I often hear people say about essential oils is that they don't stick or they evaporate or they won't survive saponification. And in my experience, that's not the case. And it's because I blend my oils and I choose to work with a rule regarding them. So, essential oils fall into three categories called notes. And you may have heard people speaking about fragrance notes, usually within perfumery. And they'll give you descriptions like it's floral or it's citrusy or it's musky or it's all of those things. But the principle behind notes is not necessarily the actual smell, but it's the volatile compounds that make that smell up and the longevity that these compounds have once they're in the air. So you will have heard the phrases top, middle or heart notes and base notes. And they're very much used in perfumery, as I said. But this is the key to making essential oils stick and last through saponification. Top notes are the light, airy scents that tend to hit the nose first, but these evaporate very quickly, anywhere from a few minutes to maybe an hour or so. Middle or heart notes will evaporate from between 2, 4, 5 hours and are the bridge between the top and the base notes. Base notes are the heavy lifters and last anywhere from, say, 8 hours to a few days. And these are essential for the longevity of a fragrance. So, in order to create a lasting essential oil soap, you need to pair base notes, heart and top notes that complement one another and that create a pleasant initial hit and then a complementary lasting scent. And the skill in blending oils is what gives you your rounded fragrance. Whether you love or hate patchouli, this is a great base note for floral scents, but it's heavy and can be cloying. So if you added in some, say, jasmine as your middle note, the two of them share some commonality and their smell makeup will complement each other, and the jasmine will often be boosted by that patchouli base note. People who dislike patchouli will be tricked to like the more jasmine-y shift from the middle over to the base over time. So it won't just have that patchouli smell, the jasmine will come through a bit. You can then use a top note like lemongrass for a more citrusy blend, or geranium and rose that would keep the floral theme. Or you could even add sandalwood and then push it a little bit more towards a masculine fragrance. The principle is basically the blend of these top, middle, and base notes. You don't always need to have a heart note, for example. You might have a base note that pairs with a few top notes, and the transition between them is really pleasant to you. And that's cool. And some richer heart notes can create a blend without the need for a base note. However, if you add one top note essential oil to a soap and you expect that to stick, the volatiles will never last, and hence why people think that essential oils don't stick. Essential oils are not made equal. The process of extraction of the oils and their manufacturing can lead to either higher or lower quality of oil. So let's look at the extraction of essential oils, and there are 3 ways that they can be extracted. I'm really going to oversimplify this, but they are steam distillation, mechanical expression, and solvent extraction. Now, the solvent extraction actually produces absolutes, which are then converted into essential oils, but for the purposes of this, we're just going to go with those 3. These processes are expensive, and for example, where lavender can yield high quantities of oils and can therefore yield high return on the process that extracts that oil, the sandalwood yield is so tiny in comparison that the same volume of sandalwood will sometimes be 20 or more times more expensive than that lavender oil. The essential oils you buy should be undiluted and should contain nothing bar the oil itself. But there are some cheaper or more unscrupulous stores that will further dilute the carrier oils down to stretch them out and make more from that yield of essential oils, but essentially weakening the oil. Always buy your oils from a reputable supplier that can provide you with the relevant documentation required, and be prepared to pay for it. Cheap essential oils, and by cheap I mean an oil that is disproportionately different to other vendors, should ring alarm bells. If I look at my preferred suppliers, I can see that 100 mils of lavender essential oil could cost me anywhere from £9 to £15 for 200 mils. If I see somewhere that same 200 mils is £7, I would be wary, because £3.50 per 100 mil is way off the price I would usually pay, and it probably won't perform the way I want it to. Yes, essential oils are expensive, but if you get your blend right, you can use less of those expensive oils but keep the longevity in the soap, and you also pay the right amount for the oils, which over time will save you money. And finally, this is a very, very brief overview of essential oils. And I'd encourage everyone to go out there, read some good books, read some websites, and understand essential oils. If it all seems too complicated for you, there's nothing wrong in using fragrance oils too. So I hope that's helped you get to grips with how essential oils work, and hopefully given you some confidence to be able to go out there and make some blends yourself and try them out. I've left some resources in the description box below, so you can go and check those out. And from here on in, take care, soapsters. I'll see you again next time.